Okay, so today's daf is daf Chav Ches, and we're actually on the bottom of daf Chav Zayin Amud Bet, and we're holding 4 lines from the wide lines. Taner Rabbanan, Ma'aseh b'Talmud Echad. There was a story where we're in the middle of the discussion now of understanding if Tefillas Arvis, if the Meir of prayer is Rishus or Chova, whether it's an obligation or a Rishus only if one wants to. Okay, Taner Rabbanan, there's a story. Ma'aseh b'Talmud Echad. There's a story with one student, Shabbat Rabbi Shua, who came before Rabbi Shua. And Amarle, he told him to fear the Arvis Rishus Ochova. Okay, so this student came. We'll see at the end of the Gemara how the whole story comes together. But this student came to Rishua in the base medrash, and he said, "Is Ma'ariv Rishus or Ochova?" Just to point out, I think it's important to point out the way Tosfos learns Rishus doesn't mean that it's at your discretion whether you want to or not. What Rishus means is actually that if you're doing another mitzvah, you don't have to stop that mitzvah to do Ma'ariv. Okay, so Amarle, he told him Rishus. It's actually only if you will, if you want to. So Balafni Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Gamliel was there, and he came before Rabbi Gamliel in the base medrash. And Amalei told him, Tfilas Arvis Rishus Chova, do I have to? Amalei Chova. Amalei told him, V'haloi Rabbi Shua, Amalei Rishus. Rabbi Shua told me that it's a Rishus. Starting up a bit. Amarle, he told him, it's early in the morning. Hamilton, let's wait until the shield bearers come. This is a reference to Talmidei Chachamim, until the base medrash fills up a little bit, and we'll have a discussion about it. So, when the shield bearers, these Talmidei Chachamim came, Amad HaShoel, the Shoel got up, the asker got up, Shoel, and he asked, feels Arbus Rishus Ochova. So it's like let's play. Okay, this is the beginning of the discussion of the base medrash. He asked the halachic question: do we have to daven Ma'ariv or not? Amalei Gamliel got up and said Chova. One has to. So he stood up and he turned to all the other sages in the base medrash and he said, "Wait a second. Does anyone argue here?" Staring at Rabbi Shua. So Rabbi Shua stared at him back and said, "No, love. No, I don't argue." He said, "Wait a minute. In your name they told me Rishus." So he realized Yeshua was playing games, and he told him, "Amar le Yeshua, Amoid al raglecha v'yidubach. Get up on your feet, on your legs, v'yidubach, and give witness." Okay, so basically, give us what you really think. Amar Yeshua Raga, Yeshua got up on his feet. V'amar, and he said, "Elmali ani chai v'hu meis." If I was alive and this student who had asked me the question was not alive now, so yachal l'chai l'hachir zameis, I could say all sorts of stories. I could say, no, I never said that, and I could contradict that guy. V'achshav now shani chai v'hu chai, we're both alive. Heich yachal l'chai l'hachir zachai. I can't contradict in front of his face, say that I didn't say that. So you're right, I did say that. So basically, Rabbi Gamliel was the Nasi, right? He was the leader of the Mismerish and leader of the Jewish people of that time. So here Rabbi Gamliel, Yoshev V'Darish, Rabbi Gamliel, shook his head and said, can't believe you said that, and he made him stand there. Okay, and Rabbi Gamliel sat down and continued to give the drashas that day. And Rabbi Shua was standing on his feet, meaning Rabbi Gamliel apparently gave this command of stand up and you can't sit down. Okay, it was like a punishment. So Ad Sharanu Kalam, until everyone started whispering to one another. Va'omru, and they said, L'chutz b'sar Turgaman, Amod, stop. Okay, so they told Chutzpah Turgman, he was the Turgman, he was the microphone. He had a very loud, powerful voice, and Rabbi Gamliel would sort of tell him to share quietly, and he would give it over to the rest of the people there. So they told him, they turned off the microphone, and they said, stop for a second. So Amod stopped. So they told the Chutzpah Turgman Amod, Va'amad, and he stopped. Amri, so they started talking to each other, the rabbis in the base medrash, and they said, Ad kama nitzari va'azal. Okay, how long are we going to allow this abuse of Rabbi Gamliel to continue? But Rosh Hashanah, last year Rosh Hashanah, he pained him. Okay, but that was a story. Another story over there with it was in Rosh Hashanah where he had an argument about the calendars and how the calendar should be set up, and he made him come on Yom Kippur according to again it wasn't his Yom Kippur, Gamliel's Yom Kippur, according to the Cheshbon calculations of Rabbi Yeshua, it was actually his Yom Kippur, and Rabbi Gamliel made him come with his money belt and a stick to stick it to him that today's not Yom Kippur. Okay, so he pained him. And B'Bechayra is B'Maiser Tzaddik. Also, Tzari, there's another story over there where he also made stand up on his feet and he pained. Okay, so the Gemara says he pained someone. So the Gemara says Hachanami Tzari, he's also causing pain to Yeshua over here now. So this is a little unacceptable. We're not so comfortable with this. So Tav and Avre, let's take him down. Let's get a replacement for. Let's fire him as the Nasi. So they asked, Man nukumle, who should we establish? Who should we put in his place? Nukmele Yeshua, we can't put him Yeshua because Baal Maisahu. He was part of the story, meaning it would be a little bit too extreme to put that in Gamliel's face that the guy he's having the argument with to make him the Nasi. Okay, so Nukmele Riyakiva to put a Riyakiva Dilma on the Shle Dles Beschos Avos. No, perhaps he won't be able to provide enough of the spiritual. Not that Riyakiva wasn't great in his own right, but he doesn't. He was a ger and he had come from not so ger, or he was coming from a not such a line of Talmidei Chachamim. So therefore, he wouldn't have the schus avos. He wouldn't have the merits of his fathers to provide extra support in this special position of nasi. Let's put up Lezman Nazaria. Why? Tu Chacham, very bright. Who Usher, he's wealthy. V'asri Ezra, and he's 10th generation of Ezra. Okay, so what's that important? Who chacham di makshale mefarkle? Most importantly, we asked him a question, he could answer. Fu asher, he's wealthy. If we have to deal with the Caesar and he has to sit with the Roman Senate and make nice to them for different things that were occurring in politics, he has enough cash to go there and be classy and throw money around a little. Fu asir Ezra, he's 10th to Ezra. He has the schos avos. Okay, initially. So they couldn't find him. They told him, does it sit well with you to make you the Rosh Hashiva, the Nasi? We told him, I gotta go and ask the people of my house. Okay, a euphemism for his wife. So Azavimlech with the Messiah, he asked his wife, and he said, "What do you think, dear?" So Amrullah, she told him, "Dilma ma'avir lecha," very practical as a woman, and she said, they just got rid of this guy Gamliel, they'll just throw you out, So Amrullah, he told her, he answered back in like sort of in the form of a parable. L'shtamish inish yom achad b'kasa demukra. If a guy has a very fine crystal glassware which he puts in his china closet, it's better for him to use the glass for one day. And even if tomorrow it breaks, okay, you gotta live. So it's a great opportunity. This is my shot. I can't turn it down because they might take me down. Hamreleshi told him, well, you have another problem. You have no white hair. Hahu Yoma, says the Gemara. Bartami Sari Shani. He was only 18 years old. Okay, he's a pretty brilliant guy. Being asked to be the Rosh Hashiva, he was only 18. So she said, they're not going to respect you. You don't have any white hair. So it's Charshlo Nisa, and this Nisa, a miracle occurred that night. Mahadrule Tamni Sari Dari Chiyurta, and he grew 18 rows of white hair. So he actually had a long beard. And Hayudik Amr Lazar Nazaria, so the famous comment that we say from Lazar Nazaria, that we say during the Haggadah, Hare Ani Kibenshim Shana, I in fact am like a 70-year-old. I didn't say I am a 70-year-old because he was only like one. Tana, we learned. Osa Hayom, so they made him Rosh Hashiva. We learned Osa Hayom that day. The day that they made Elazar Zari the Rosh Hashiva, Salkul Shomer HaPesach, they removed the Shomer HaPesach. Different ways of understanding this, but the simple understanding is Gamliel was a very tough guy, and he had a very high level of learning in the base medrash, and he only wanted certain kind of choice Talmidim. So he had a shomer lepesach. Okay, so v'nat lem rishus l'tamidim likanes. He gave permission to everyone to come in. Shari Gamliel machras or Gamliel's decree was that kol talmid shein teicha kabare, very sincere, very authentic Rabbi Gamliel, and he said any student whose inside is not like his outside, he wears a white shirt, he wears a jacket, he looks like a great yeshiva guy, but really his inside is not sincere. Well, he cuts the base medrash, he can't come in. So they removed that guard. Either some learner that was actually a guard who would test them and get to know them and understand that they really were sincere, or some say that the Hasidic way of understanding is that it was his words itself. It was Gamliel's Shomer LePesach. The fact that Gamliel says no one could come in, it was like it created a reality that no one would come in. So he removed that concept and said everyone come on in and learn. So Ahu Yoma that day is Tosfu Kamev Safsali. How many benches did they add? Amar Yochanan Pligi ba Abi Yosef and Tostai v'Rabbanan. It's an argument between Abi Yosef and Tostai and the Rabbanan. Chanam, or some say at Tosfu Arba Me'as Afsali. They added 400 benches. say less, 300, four people on a bench. They added 400 benches that one day. Some say Sheva Me'asafsli. 700 benches they added that one day. So there was a huge amount of people who now came in to learn. And Gamliel got a little depressed. And he told himself, maybe in fact I had held back all this Torah that would have been learned. Okay, that I didn't let anyone in. So that night he went to sleep, and actually, they showed him in a dream. Okay, heaven showed him a dream. These white barrels, Damali and Kitma, they're filled with dust. Okay, it's filled with ashes. So as to show him, don't worry. It looks like they're all coming here to learn, but they're really just hanging out, trying to get out of the army. Okay, so the fact is don't feel bad about it. Okay, they were these guys aren't necessarily all sincere. Okay, so says the Gemara, you're wrong. But really, that's not really what was happened. Wallahi, that's not so. Okay, really, he was wrong, and he did the wrong thing by not letting everyone come learn who wanted to learn. Okay, seemingly a big proof for against the the yeshiva systems that don't allow certain boys to come in to learn. So what happened? So Wallahi wasn't so. They only showed that to him to make him feel good. He's having a tough day, so they showed him that in his dream to make him feel better. But really, it wasn't so. Tana, we learned Idias boy bayim. Now Idias, with the chosen, we had this yesterday. We talked about Idias, the concept of these mishnayos that were compiled from Idias, and these were the different edises, the different halachas that were said in the base marriage that day. Yeah, a very, very special day, and all the halachas that were said that day came out clearly with the halacha. So Idias bobayom nishnas, all the halachas of Idias, all those mishnayos were learned on that day. They were instituted from that day. Whenever you find in Shas that day, was that specific day. Okay? There was no halacha that was hanging, that they weren't able to come with a good explanation of it. Which is the first wide line. Even Rabbi Gamliel asked me, you think you go home? And he goes, no, okay, I'm at Rosh Hashiva. He took a seat, one of the new benches, and he also started learning. Afilu sha'achas, not even for a moment did he leave. The Tanan we learned in the Mishnah. Bayayim that day. Ba Yehuda Geramoni lefneim. Yehuda, a convert from Ammon, came before him in the base marriage. Remember, he told him, Ma ani levo b'kahal. I converted, but now can I marry into the Jewish people? The concept of Hashem. Special decree was made about the Ammon and Moab that they're specifically certain characteristics of Ammon and Moab that were totally unacceptable to the Jewish people, and they were not allowed to convert. Okay, so they could convert, but they actually can't marry into the Jewish people. So he goes, I converted, can I marry? Amalei Gamliel Aser. Gamliel says, no, forbidden. Okay, Amalei Rishu turned to him and said, Mutter you could come in. The verse says, doesn't it clearly state in the Torah that an Ammon and Moab can't come into the congregation of Hashem? Of course I agree with that, but do you think Ammon and Moab, the fact that he comes from Ammon and Moab, makes him an Ammonite or a Moabite? A Moabite. Kfar Allah Sancherev Melech Asher. We know Sancherev, the king of Asher, came. Bilbul's Kalumas. One of his tactics in creating a certain stability in the world that he could rule was that he took people from this country and sent to that country, people from that country sent to this country, and people were uncomfortable. They weren't in their own lands. So he already mixed all the nations up. Shnemar Vasir Gvulas Amim. Okay, they basically he put everybody outside of their boundaries. Okay, so and also if you're going to say that maybe his family was one of the few families that was able to hide in a cave in Ammon and that he's a real authentic person from Ammon, no, v'chol de parsh meruba parsh, we have a concept, halacha concept, that all that separate meruba parsh, we assume that they separated from the rove, which means that if we have the concept of rove, which basically states that we have a piece of meat here on the floor, and rove the stores in the city sell kosher meat, we can assume that it's separated from the kosher meat. Okay, so same concept that even if he, you might say maybe how do we know maybe his family hid in a cave and he's really from Ammon, we don't assume that. Okay, so he told him that's why I'm allowing him to come to the Kahal. Gamliel says, the verse says, okay, after that Hashem says, I will return my Mishvus B'nei Ammon, I will return the Ammon people to their country. And he already did. What do you mean? He says, I'll also return the Jewish people to their nation, to their country, and that hasn't occurred yet. So Miyad Tirula by Kahal, they came out and said, yep, he can marry into the Jewish people, okay? Like Rabbi Yeshua's halacha. So Rabbi Gamliel said, "Hayil v'hachi." Since that's so, and he saw two different commentaries explain either since that's so means since that I see Rabbi Yeshua is in fact a pretty bright guy. It seems to know halacha. So the argument we had about Arvis or Shis or Chov, was a little harsh on him. Or Hayil v'hachi, he saw that people that were really with Rabbi Yeshua and they supported him, and he saw that he was a little bit harsh with him. Okay. In any event, since that's so, what I'm gonna do is since that's so, I'll go to Rishua's house and I'll appease him. I really hurt his feelings. So he came up to the base when he came to his house. Chazinu la'ashisa de base to Mishachar. He saw the walls of his house that they were black. Amalei told him because small talk from the walls of your house. I could see that you're a pachmi. So either a blacksmith, Rashi says, or a coal maker. Very poor, very, very, very poor, and he would make coal. Take the wood and burn it to make coal. So Amalei told him, this is just proves my point. You're woe to the nation, to the generation that you're the leader. Like you're so out of touch with the fact that I'm just like another guy who comes to the base marriage. You don't really know the pain I go through to be able to learn. You don't know how much tsar the Talmud Chacham has. How they sustain themselves, how they're able to eat. Amalei told him, you're right. I hurt you with my words. Forgive me. So Le'ashkech didn't even look at him, he didn't pay attention. So he said, do it for the respect for my father, for the Nasius. You don't cancel the whole thing. It's just because I made a mistake. So he told him pious that he forgave him, okay, for the sake of his father's household. So once they made up, they said, who's going to go tell the Rabbanan that we made up? Things are cool now. Samar lahu hahu kovis. There was some washerman there. We find this in other places. Also very interesting. Some relationship in that time. There was this washerman who seemed to be at the right place at the right time. This washerman said, "Ana zilna, I'll go and tell everybody." So Shalach l'Rabbi Yeshua l'Bei Midrasha. Yeshua sent this washerman with the message. He told him again in the form of a sort of an allegory. Man de labishmada yilbashmada. The one who's wearing the cloak, meaning wearing the uniform, should continue to wear the uniform. Man de labishmada. One who never wore the uniform. Yemer le laman de labishmada. Could he turn around and tell it to the one who always wore it? Shlach madchav al b'shay. Take off your uniform and I'll wear it. So meaning to say that Elazar Razari is a newbie, and I think you should. Rabbi Shua said that I made up now with Rabbi Gamliel. I forgive him. And therefore, Rabbi Gamliel should go back to being the Nasi. Okay, so basically, what happened was he sent this messenger. He came to the door, he started knocking, and they realized that maybe Rabbi Gamliel very wealthy, lived in some mansion somewhere. He had servants. He said so. Amar Rabbi Kiva l'Rabbanan. Rabbi Kiva told the Rabbanan, Turku Gali, change the locks to lock the doors to Leilesu Adri Rabbi Gamliel v'Letzar l'Rabbanan. We don't need the servants for Gamliel now giving a hard time. What are you doing to our boss? Hustling up the Rabbanan. So lock the doors. So the guy couldn't get in. So Rabbi Yeshua said, it's better I'll go myself. I'm Rabbi Yeshua, mutav deikim v'azal anol l'gabayo, I'll go myself. Also, he came to Rabbi, he knocked on the door. And Amar Lei, and he told him, Maza, and he sent a message through the intercom. He said, who's there? And he said, Maza, the sprinkler, the son of the sprinkler. Yazir should continue to sprinkle. This is reference to the concept of the paraduma that we know, one who became tameh, tumas hames, or v'yavos atuma, and he's now needs to wait 7 days, and the third and seventh day he gets sprinkled with the water from the ashes of the paraduma. So the kohen has to sprinkle him. So he says, Maza ben Maza, the kohen, the son of the kohen, the one who sprinkles, the son of the sprinkles. Yazir should continue to sprinkle. V'she'en eloi Maza v'loi ben Maza, the one who's not a sprinkler or not the son of a sprinkle. Yemar lamaza b'maza should tell the sprinkler, the son of the sprinkler, the kohen, the son of the kohen. Meimecha meimara, your waters are cave waters. Ve'efrecha, and your afer is afer makla. So we know that the concept is that the water has to actually spring water. It can't come from a sudden pool. It has to be spring water. And the afer, the dust that's used, obviously has to be dust from a paraduma, and it can't be dust that came out of a stove. So he's going to tell him that so basically meaning to say we should reinstate Rabbi Gamliel as the Rosh Hashiva. So Amalei Rabbi Kiva heard this, and he said, Yeshua, nispaista, you've been appeased. everything we've done, we only did the whole thing only for your honor. So tomorrow morning, you and I will go to the Pesach, and we'll figure this out. So Amri, they said, hey Chanavi, what should we do? Navre, we can't take down Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah now. Why? Because Gamiri, we have a tradition that Malam B'Kodesh V'Maridim, one can go up in holiness but not go down. So we don't want to take him down from this holy spot. And Nidrish Marchad Shabbat, but to reinstate him and to sort of switch off Shabbos is that this guy give the drasha and this guy give the drasha the next Shabbos between Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and Rabbi Gamliel. That's asal kanuye, so to come to jealousy. It's you can't have two leaders of the ship, right? There's no two captains to the ship. Ella Lidrish Rabbi Gamliel plus a Shabti. Let's reinstate Rabbi Gamliel to do 3 Shabbos and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Chad Shabti he'll do once a month. Okay, and therefore we'll keep him in his holy places, sort of Rosh Hashiva. But Rabbi Gamliel will be fully reinstated. And that is the story that we had a quote that said Shabbos Shal Mihaisa. This is the story in Chagiga, and then he asked him who Shabbos was it, who gave the drasha today in the shul, meaning, and he told the shul Elazar ben Azariah, so Elazar ben Azariah. So you see that there was this concept of switching off, okay, or once a month. And it says the Gemara completes itself and says Vaisa Talmud, and that student, in case you were wondering, that first student who started up the whole thing by going first to Rabbi Yeshua and asking him about harvest Rosh Hashanah, and then going to Rabbi Gamliel, the guy who started the whole thing, he wasn't some random student. He was Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Hava, and some of the commentaries explain that this story, when it was occurring in a place of where there was a tremendous instability within the leadership of the Jewish people, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai had this foresight, this great foresight to that that there was going to be some rift. So he sort of artificially created this rift that it should come to this happy ending. Okay, so that's why it says that we know the concept of achros karacious, that there's only good only you have happy endings if there's some good in the beginning. So that student in the beginning was in fact sincere and he did l'shem shemayim. Okay, so the Gemara continues. We said in the Mishnah Mishal Musaf and Kalayim, we have Musaf you could say all day. Rav Yochanan says Menikra Posheya. That's fine, you have all day, but you're considered Posheya. You're considered it's like a carelessness, a sinner if you wait. One has before him Musaf. He has Musaf in front of him and Mincha. Mispal Mincha, Musaf. First time Mincha, then Musaf, like we said earlier. Shazet Tadir Zeo Ain't Tadir. The concept of Tadir Sheina Tadir, right? The one that's more common has preference. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Mispal Musaf, Mispal Mincha. Shazeo Mitzvah Veris. One's a passing mitzvah, Zeo Mitzvah Sheina Veris, and one's not passing. So we said Ad B'chlal, right? Rabbi Yochanan Halacha. The halacha is Mispal Mincha. One in fact should have mincha. V'achakach mispal shel musaf. Rav Zera, ki have a cholish when he was he was sick from learning. He couldn't learn anymore. Have a azal v'yasva pischa deber of Nasa bar Tevyomi. He wanted to learn, but he wasn't feeling great. So he went and he sat by the door of Nasa bar Tevyomi. Omar, he said, ki chalfi rabbanan. At least the very least I can do is when the rabbanan pass me, as eikam kamayu, I'll get up in front of them. V'akabel igra, and I'll get reward for standing up for Torah scholars, giving respect to the Torah. So Nafak came out. Asr Nafak went out. Asr Nasa bar Tuvi. And Amalei Man Amar Halacha b'Midrasha. What's the halacha today? Amalei Hachi Amar Rav Yochanan. Ein halacha Rabbi Yehuda. The halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda. Amar Spal Adam Shal Musaf. V'yachakach Mispal Shal Mincha. That's not the halacha. One should have mincha first. Amalei Rav Yochanan. Amalei, he told them Rav Yochanan Amra. Rabbi Yochanan said that. Amalei, he told him in. Yes, it was Rabbi Yochanan. So Tanamine Arba in Zimni. He learned from him 40 times. He said Rabbi Yochanan said the halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yochanan said the halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda. 40 times. You see, tremendous that 40 times a simple just memra. He repeated it 40 times until he was able to have it like it was in his pocket. In Gemara Megillah. That's a very powerful concept for us that we should at least review 4 times as many times as we can. Okay, Amarle. So he told him Chada Hilach or Chadas Hilach. Is that Chadas Hilach meaning is that one new to you, meaning that you thought that it was said in the name of you thought it was said in someone else's name, right? That you never learned Rav Yochanan's name, or Chada Hilach, or you never heard that halacha before, right? So he told him Chadas Hilach. It was a chiddush for me. B'shum B'safkali B'shum Levi. Okay, B'safkali B'shum Levi means I had heard it from Yeshua Levi. I thought that Yeshua Levi is the one who said that memra that in halacha Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, the Gemara continues. Amar Yeshua Levi, call him Mispalel Tefillah Shel Musafin. La'achar Sheva Shos. Whoever davens Musaf after 7 hours, according to Rabbi Yehuda, Allah V'Kasam on him. The pasuk says this is a pasuk in Eicha, and it says. I'm sorry, there's a pasuk in Tzefanya. It says, "Nuge mimoyed asafti mimech hayu masis alech harpa." Okay, what do you see from this pasuk? Tahai nugi lishna to tavru is the language of breaking. Nugi mimay, breaking myself from my appointed times. Rav Yosef translated tavra asel sonein de Yisrael. Okay, there's destruction that will come on the enemies of the Jewish people. Al ichru zmani moedei b'Yushalayim. That they and this is again a euphemism to the Jewish people, but al da'achru zmani moedei b'Yushalayim. They further back the time of the Moadim in Yerushalayim. Give me a moment. Let me just see what this is exactly a reference to. Nugi Memoy Nasachti Memech. Hold on. Right. So that's what it was. Nugi Memoy Al Sanin the basis Yisrael the Ichru Zmani Moeded Yerushalayim that they pushed off this man of Musaf. Rav Elazar Kol Maspala Tefillah Shel Shachris Lachar Abrishos. Whoever davens Shachris after 4 hours. Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, it says you do not have until midday. The person says Nogi Memoy Nasatim Emcha. This breaking from the time of our appointed times. How do you see it from here? Dahai Nugi Lashon Tzarhu is a lashon of pain. Tichsiv, the verse says the verse says Dalfa nafshi mituga kaimeni kidvarecha. Okay, that the Dalfa nafshi mituga that has created this pain in me. And Rav Nachman Yitzchak Amar Mehalcha, the pasuk says B'suliseh nugos v'hi mar la. Okay, his versions are nugos v'hi mar la, and it's bitter for them. Okay, so you see it's a lashon of tsar. That nugos means tsar. Ravia chalash, top of chav chesam and base. Ravia wasn't feeling well. V'loy asla pirka, he didn't come to shul. The pirka of Rav Yosef, he didn't come to the shir of Yosef one day. Lamacha the next day ki asa, when he did come. Boye abai lanuche dat Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef, who was the Rebbe, he looked a little disturbed that Ravia's student didn't come to the shir. So Abai wanted to make his Rebbe feel better, so he asked in a loud voice in front of him, in front of the Rebbe Rav Yosef, Amalei, my time asa marla pirka. Why, Ravia, did you not come to shir yesterday? Amalei I wasn't feeling great, I couldn't come. In the morning, you should have eaten something, eaten a nice hearty breakfast, and you could have came. Don't you hold Lahaj Rav Huna? This is Rav Huna says, Don't you know that it was Shabbos, and he told me you're not allowed to eat before one daven Musaf. So I couldn't eat. Let's listen to Musaf and Biyachid. You should have davened Musaf Yachidas, eaten and then came. You don't hold this to Rav Yochanan's opinion was that that one's not allowed to pray before the time of the Tefillah of the Tzibur. Did you not learn on that? That B'Shibur is different. Okay, the Gemara says, "V'les hilchos like Rav Huna, like Rishuv Levi." The halacha is not going to be like Rav Huna, and it's not going to be like Rishuv Levi. Ki Rav Huna hadamar, like we just said. Okay, that the statement that we just made from Rav Huna, that you're not allowed to eat before Musaf. Okay, that's not the halacha. And Rishon Levi Kiyazman Tfilas Mincha, when most time Mincha time comes, Ashlei Ladam Shitum Klum Kam Shispal Tfilas Mincha, one's not allowed to eat anything before Mincha, and that's not the halacha because you are in fact allowed to eat as long as you don't sit down to a Sudas Keva. Okay, so the Mishnah continues. Rechunya ben Akana. Okay, Rechunya, the son of Kahana, Hayim Espalel used to pray Bechnisasai Lebeis Medrash. He used to pray when he would come in to the entering the Beis Medrash. B'tziyasai, when he would leave, Tefillah Katzar, a short prayer. And Amrullah, students asked him, what is your source for this? What's this about? Amrullah, he told Bechnisasai, when I enter, I shouldn't make a mistake in my learning. B'tziyasai, when I go out, I give thanks for my portion, for the ability to learn. Tana Rabban, the Gemara says, when he entered, what was his tefillah? Oymer, he used to say, it should be your will. You shouldn't have any mistakes come through my hand. I shouldn't make a mistake. I shouldn't stumble in my halacha. And my friends will be happy on me. I made a mistake. They'll get a little bit of he made a mistake. I shouldn't call tameh tar. I shouldn't say that somebody's tar is actually tameh. My friends friend should make a mistake, and I have a little bit of a sort of happiness that I got the halacha right and they didn't. And B'tziyasim, however, what did he say when he left? He would say, Moidani l'fanecha Hashem Elokai. Thank you, Hashem, my God, before you that Shasam Techelkim Yesh Beis HaMedrash, that you put my place amongst those who sits in the Beis Medrash, V'leisam Techelkim Yesh B'Kornas, those who's hanging out on the corners. Shani Mashkim and Vehem Mashkim. I get up early and they get up early. Ani Mashkim l'Divrei Torah. I get up for Torah, Vehem Mashkim l'Divrei B'Teilim. They get up for nonsense. Ani Amal Vehem Amelim. I work hard and they work hard. Ani Amal Makal B'Sachar. I work hard and get reward. Okay, they work hard and they don't get reward. I run and they're running. I'm running towards eternal life. And they're running to a deep dark pit. Okay, just to very briefly quote a beautiful concept I once heard here, that we know that people who are not in Torah learning or not Jews or whatever also work very hard, and they also get reward for their work. They can work hard and build a business and get reward. So they don't get spiritual reward, they get physical reward. So how come it says I work hard and get reward, and they work hard and they don't get reward? And an example was once given to me that I think very much gives a good understanding of this concept, and that is that if you walk along a big project, they're building a skyscraper in the middle of New York City, so you see a guy with sitting there with the jackhammer, and he's working 12 hours a day, and he's making $12 an hour. Okay, and if you look a little behind him, you see a guy in a suit, and he's holding a pencil and a pad, and he's measuring, writing numbers or whatever, and he's the engineer, the MIT engineer, and he's making whatever it is, $250,000-$300,000 a year doing that. And then behind him, sitting in a beach chair, smoking a cigarette in jeans and a t-shirt, is the owner of the project, and he's making $10 million on the project, right? So it's not relative to how much real work, in terms of physical work, one's putting in to the physical reward that they get out. Okay? Versus Torah learning, no one can learn for you. There's no such concept as sitting back and relaxing. It's only acquired through hard work. Misha Memis and Atzmai, one's able to really kill himself over learning Torah. That's who gets the most reward. Okay? Taner Rabbanan, 2 dots. Kishachol Rebbe Lezer was sick. Nichnazu Talmidei Levakar, his students came in to visit him. Amar Lo, Rabbeinu Rebbe, Lamanatenu Urchas Chayim v'Niske Behem. L'chayim Abba, tell us the secrets of life and how one should live. Okay, he told them, be very careful in the honor of your friends. You hold back your children from higayon. Some say it's stories, and some say it's chumash, and Tanakh. Don't get them too comfortable in the stories. That you want them to be delve into the logic, into the deep understanding of the Gemara. And let them sit between the knees of the Talmidei Chachamim. Let them be around Talmidei Chachamim. When you daven to ula, remember, for goodness sake, who you're standing in front of. And with this, you'll merit eternal life. When Reb Yochanan was sick, his students came in to visit him, came into Royal. When he saw them, he started to cry. The Talmid of his students told him, Ner Yisrael, light of the Jewish people, Amuna Yemini, the right pillar, Patisha Chazak, the very strong hammer, an axe, pick. Why are you crying? Let told him, see if they're taking me before some sort of ruler, of king. Okay, of flesh and blood. Today he's here and tomorrow he's dead. Is alive, he gets angry at me. His anger is not eternal. If he locks me up in Yisruni, Israel is not forever. If he kills me, even his death's not forever. It's only in this world. I could appease him with words, and bribe him with money, and still I'd be crying, I'd be nervous. I see that they're taking me, the King of all kings. Hashem, may he be blessed. Who's alive and well, and he will be forever and ever. Shimkoyas alive, he gets angry at me. His anger is eternal. If he locks me up, it's forever. If he kills me, it's a real death. Okay? You can't sweet talk your way out of it. You can't bribe him. Not only that, I have 2 ways in front of me. One's of eternal Gan Eden, of Eden, I don't know which way they're going to take me. I shouldn't cry. Rabbeinu, the students told him, our Rebbe, Barchenu, bless us. He told them, should be your will, should be Hashem's will, you should fear God at least as much as you fear people. His students told him, Ad God, that's the whole thing, that's the whole shebang. He told them, you should reach that level. Why? Taylor, you should know, when a person sins or transgresses an avera, right now just looks around, make sure no one's looking. So you should at least fear Hashem as much as you should know that He's looking. So B'shas b'tirasa, as they were taking him out, Amar lehem, he told them, Panu kelim b'pnei atuma, remove the kelim. As you see, what a special person. He's so sensitive to the fact that the kelim, the small utensils in the room, were not going to become a katal tuma if he was there. So he said, just get him out of the room so they don't become tameh. Okay, and Veichinu kis l'Chizkiyahu melech Yehuda Sheba, and prepare a seat for Chizkiyahu melech Yehuda. We had Chizkiyahu, the great Tzaddik Chizkiyahu, who's coming to escort me into the next world. Okay, so beautiful story. And I think we'll take it from here tomorrow.